listener request for today's topic.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Well, someone wants to hear all about the U.S.-based companies that are really like pushing this whole bamboo thing.
Like those that are growing it?
Yeah, growing it, making stuff out of it, the whole 9 yards. They're curious about, what's driving them, why they think bamboo is the next big thing. And honestly, I'm pretty curious myself.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's interesting how bamboo has this like long history in other parts of the world, but here in the US it's still kind of this like up and coming thing.
Totally. And, we did a bit of digging.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of the stuff we found is pretty mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing how so.
Like, did you know bamboo can be strong enough to build airport roofs out of?
Seriously?
Yeah. And apparently it's like this amazing weapon against climate change.
That makes sense, I guess. Plants and carbon and all that.
Exactly. And get this, we even found a farm in Florida that ditched their whole citrus operation to grow bamboo.
Wow, okay, I'm officially intrigued.
Me too. So let's dive in and see what these bamboo pioneers are all about.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so first up we've got Bamboo Living. These guys have been around since the 90s. They were early adopters of this whole bamboo building thing.
Yeah, they're kind of like the OGs of the US bamboo scene. Their story's actually pretty cool. It all started with this carpenter named Jeffrey Trudeau.
Okay, Jeffrey Trudeau, what's his deal?
Well, picture that he's in Maui, walking through this beautiful bamboo forest.
Right, it sounds nice.
And he just has this, epiphany,
Yeah.
that bamboo could be this, revolutionary material for building sustainably.
So that's where the bamboo seed was planted, so to speak.
No, yeah, exactly. But he needed someone to, help him make that vision a reality.
And that's where the other founder comes in.
Exactly. This architect named David Sands was also super concerned about the environmental impact of traditional building materials. They teamed up drawing inspiration from these bamboo masterminds from around the world, like Simon Velez and Linda Garland.
Wow. So they had this global perspective right from the start.
Totally. And they had this really ambitious goal. They wanted to make timber grade structural bamboo a mainstream building material.
That's a pretty bold vision, especially back in the 90s.
Oh, it definitely wasn't easy. They faced a ton of pushback, especially when it came to building codes.
I bet. Bamboo was this totally new thing. How do they even convince people to take it seriously?
Well, it took a lot of persistence, 7 years of fighting to get bamboo recognized in U.S. building codes.
7 years. That's insane.
I know, right? They were seriously dedicated to making this happen.
So what was the problem? Why was it so hard to get bamboo approved?
I think it was just this fear of the unknown, Bamboo was this exotic material and people didn't understand it. They didn't trust that it could be as strong or as safe as traditional lumber.
So Bamboo Living had to prove them wrong.
Exactly. They had to basically rewrite the rules of construction. They came up with this really innovative prefabrication system where they would build homes in sections at their factory in Vietnam.
Vietnam. Why Vietnam?
Well, Vietnam has this long tradition of bamboo construction, and they had the skilled labor and the infrastructure to do it right. So Bamboo Living would build these homes in sections and then ship them to the U.S. for assembly.
Kind of like a giant bamboo Lego set.
Yeah, exactly. And this system had a bunch of advantages. It allowed them to meet those super strict U.S. building codes because they could control the quality of every single piece. And it also made the construction process much faster and more efficient.
So they were innovating on multiple levels.
Totally. And of course, let's not forget about the sustainability aspect, which was always at the heart of their mission.
Yeah, they were way ahead of the curve on that. So how exactly did they make their homes sustainable?
Well, for one thing, each bamboo home they built saved an estimated 10 acres of forest.
10 acres? That's huge.
Right. And they also went the extra mile to get LEED certification for their homes.
LEED certification, what does that mean exactly?
It's this globally recognized rating system for green buildings. It basically means that their homes met super high standards for environmental performance.
So they weren't just talking the talk, they were walking the walk.
Exactly. They were truly committed to creating homes that were good for both people and the planet.
All right, so we've got this company, Bamboo Living, building these amazing sustainable homes out of bamboo. But where's all this bamboo coming from? Are they growing it themselves?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the next chapter of the story, the world of U.S. bamboo farming.
Okay, so let's get down to the roots of it all.
Pun intended.
Maybe. But seriously, though, can't we just, like, plant a bunch of bamboo here in the U.S. and call it a day?
Well, it's not quite that simple. Here's
Yeah.
the thing. There are actually no commercially important bamboo species that are native to the U.S.
What, seriously? So where are they getting all this bamboo from?
Well, most of it is imported from China, which is like the bamboo superpower of the world.
Ah, so U.S. farmers are kind of playing catch-up then.
Yeah, exactly. They're basically starting from scratch.
Hmm.
And there are a bunch of challenges that come with that.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, there's the issue of climate. Bamboo is a tropical plant, so it doesn't thrive everywhere in the U.S.
Right.
Farmers have to find land with the right soil, the right temperature, the right amount of rainfall.
So it's kind of like trying to grow a pineapple in Alaska.
Yeah, something like that. And then there's the economic challenge of competing with those well-established Chinese producers.
Mhm.
They've got this massive industry, and they can produce bamboo at a much lower cost.
So U.S. farmers are up against some stiff competition.
Definitely. But despite all that, there are some really amazing things happening in the U.S. bamboo farming scene.
Like what?
Well, let's take a look at what's going on in Florida. It's becoming a bit of a hub for bamboo innovation.
Florida, really. That's not the first place that comes to mind when I think of bamboo.
I know, right? But there are some pioneers down there who are really pushing the boundaries. One really interesting example is this farm called Mixon Farms. They were known for their citrus groves for years, but then in 2016, they decided to make a big change.
The big change, what did they do?
They ripped out a bunch of their citrus trees and replaced them with bamboo.
Whoa, that's a bold move. Why'd they do that?
Well, the citrus industry in Florida has been struggling for years. There's this disease called citrus greening that's been wiping out groves, and it's been really hard for farmers to stay afloat.
So they were looking for a more sustainable and profitable crop.
Exactly. And they saw bamboo as a potential solution. They figured they could grow bamboo for multiple purposes. They could harvest the shoots for food, and they could use the mature poles for things like building materials and furniture.
So they were thinking long term.
Yeah, they were really trying to diversify their operation and create a more resilient business. They mainly planted Moso bamboo, which is a really popular variety for all sorts of applications.
So how did it go? Was their bamboo venture a success?
Sadly, not really. Recent reports suggest they had to sell off some of their land, and the bamboo groves are probably going to be turned into housing developments.
That's a shame. It sounds like they were really trying to make it work.
They were, and their story is a reminder that establishing a new industry isn't easy. There are always going to be challenges and setbacks. But just because one farm faced difficulties, it doesn't mean the dream of a U.S. bamboo industry is over.
Right. So who else is carrying the torch? Are there other farms or companies in Florida that are making headway with bamboo?
Absolutely. There are a couple of other Florida-based companies that are really making waves. Rhizome Bamboo and Only Moso both have some pretty ambitious goals.
Okay, let's hear about them. What are they doing differently?
Well, Rhizome Bamboo is all about engineered bamboo lumber. They've got these huge plantations in the Philippines, and they're planning to set up a location in Florida too. They're actually testing all sorts of tropical and subtropical bamboo species to see what thrives best in that climate.
So they're not just growing bamboo, they're like engineering it into this high-tech building material.
Exactly. They see bamboo as the future of sustainable construction. And then there's Only Moso. They're laser focused on just two specific bamboo species, Moso, which we already talked about, and another one called Dendrocalamus asper.
Okay, why those two? What's so special about them?
Well, they're known for their exceptional strength. They're like the heavyweights of the bamboo world.
Ah, so they're betting big on these super strong bamboos becoming like the go-to material for all sorts of things.
Yeah, exactly. They see them being used for everything from construction to furniture. They're even supplying starter plants to other farms to help expand the reach of bamboo cultivation.
So even though Mixon Farms hit some roadblocks, it sounds like there's still a lot of enthusiasm for bamboo in Florida.
Oh, definitely. And the movement is spreading beyond Florida, too. We're seeing companies pop up all over the U.S. that are dedicated to making bamboo a viable and sustainable part of our economy.
So the bamboo revolution is truly nationwide.
It's starting to feel that way.
This is so cool. I'm really getting excited about the potential of bamboo. Okay, so we've talked about Florida. What about other parts of the country? Who else is out there doing amazing things with bamboo?
Well, there's a company in Alabama called Resource Fiber that was doing some really interesting work.
Okay, Resource Fiber, what were they up to?
They were actually milling bamboo to create laminate flooring right here in the U.S. Imagine that American-grown bamboo turned into beautiful, durable flooring for our homes and businesses.
That's awesome. I love the idea of locally sourced, sustainable flooring.
Yeah, it was a really cool concept. Unfortunately, they ran into some difficulties and ended up going bankrupt in 2022.
Oh no, what happened?
It's tough to say for sure, but it seems like they faced a lot of challenges like getting access to enough raw bamboo and competing with those cheaper imports from China.
It's a reminder that starting a new industry isn't easy, especially when you're going up against these global giants.
It is. But their story is also a valuable lesson for other companies. They paved the way and showed that it's possible to mill and manufacture bamboo products right here in the US.
So it's like they planted the seeds even if they didn't get to see them fully bloom.
Exactly. And now other companies are building on their legacy and finding new ways to make American bamboo a success.
So who else is out there picking up where Resource Fiber left off?
Well, let's head over to North Carolina, where a company called National Bamboo is doing some really cool things.
National Bamboo, what's their story?
Well, they're all about promoting Henan bamboo as a cash crop for farmers. Henan is a really interesting variety because it's cold hardy, which means it can grow in regions that other bamboos can't.
So they're matching the bamboo to the climate. That's smart.
Exactly. And they're not just promoting it, they're providing resources and consultations to help farmers make the transition from traditional crops to bamboo.
So they're like bamboo mentors.
Haha. Yeah, kind of. They see Henan bamboo as this really versatile species that can be used for everything from building materials to biofuel.
Okay, so they're thinking big picture.
Totally. They're not just focused on one specific application. They're trying to create a whole ecosystem around bamboo.
No.
And speaking of ecosystems, let's move on to another company that's taking a really thoughtful approach to bamboo, Thigpen Trail Bamboo Farm in Georgia.
Thigpen Trail Bamboo Farm. What makes them stand out?
Well, they're a family-owned farm that's really committed to sustainability. They're focused on growing non-invasive bamboo varieties.
Non-invasive. Why is that so important?
Well, you know, bamboo has this reputation for being invasive, right?
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about bamboo taking over people's yards and gardens.
Exactly. And that can be a real problem, especially if it starts to spread into natural areas and crowd out native plants.
So Thigpen Trail is trying to avoid that.
Yes, they're very careful about the species they choose, and they educate their customers on how to plant and manage bamboo responsibly. They want to make sure that it's a beneficial addition to the landscape, not a destructive force.
I love that they're taking such a holistic approach. It's not just about the bamboo itself, it's about the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And that brings us to another really exciting aspect of the U.S. bamboo scene, the world of processing and manufacturing. We've talked a lot about the challenges of growing bamboo in the U.S., but what happens once you have all these bamboo poles? What can you actually do with them?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's one thing to grow it, but it's another thing to actually turn it into something useful.
Right. So let's shift our focus from the farm to the factory and see what companies are doing to transform raw bamboo into amazing products. One company that's been leading the way is Lambu. They've been manufacturing architectural bamboo products in the U.S. since 2007.
2007. Wow, they've been at it for a while. So what kind of products do they make?
Oh, all sorts of things. Flooring panels, beams, even custom millwork. They're taking raw bamboo and turning it into these beautiful, high-quality building materials.
So they're basically creating a bamboo alternative to traditional lumber.
Exactly. And they're really committed to quality. They use 100% pre-selected bamboo, and they have these specialized adhesives and treatments to make sure that their products are durable and long-lasting.
So they're not cutting any corners.
Nope. They're all about craftsmanship and sustainability. They even offer design consultations to help architects and engineers incorporate bamboo into their projects.
That's really cool. It sounds like they're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to choose bamboo.
Exactly. They're trying to show the world that bamboo isn't just this niche material. It can be a mainstream solution for all sorts of building needs.
Okay, so we've got Lambu making beautiful bamboo products for homes and buildings. Are there other companies pushing the boundaries of bamboo manufacturing?
Oh, absolutely. There's another company called Renewtech that's doing some really amazing things with structural engineered bamboo, or SEB.
SFIB. What is that?
Well, it's basically bamboo that's been engineered to be strong enough to support roofs, walls, even entire buildings.
Whoa. So we're not just talking about bamboo floors and furniture anymore. We're talking about bamboo skyscrapers.
Well, maybe not skyscrapers yet, but they've built some pretty impressive structures using SEB. They've done airport roof structures, residential buildings, even hybrid window systems.
That's wild. So how do they make bamboo that strong?
Well, it's a pretty sophisticated process. They take these specially selected bamboo poles and they mill them into thin slats. Then they laminate those slats together using high-strength adhesives, and they apply these special treatments to enhance the bamboo's natural durability.
It sounds like they're turning bamboo into this like super material.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And they're not just using any old bamboo. They focus on a specific species called guadua bamboo, which is native to Latin America.
Wait, Latin America? I thought we were talking about U.S. bamboo companies.
We are. But Renewtech sources their bamboo from sustainable plantations in the Western Hemisphere. They figured it's better to get it from closer to home than to ship it all the way from Asia.
Ah, so they're reducing their carbon footprint.
Exactly. And once they get the bamboo to the U.S., they do all the milling, laminating, and manufacturing right here in their own facilities.
So they're creating jobs and supporting the local economy.
Yes. And they're proving that bamboo can be a viable alternative to traditional building materials, even for large-scale projects.
Okay, I am seriously impressed with these bamboo innovators.
Hmm.
I mean, it's one thing to grow bamboo, but it's another thing entirely to transform it into these like high-tech building materials.
I know, it's pretty mind-blowing, right?
Totally. And it's not just about building materials either. Remember National Bamboo? They're doing some really cool research on using bamboo for another amazing purpose.
Oh, yeah. What are they up to these days?
Well, they're exploring the use of bamboo fiber for the pulp and paper industry.
Bamboo paper. So we could be reading books, writing on notepads, and even wiping our noses with bamboo.
Exactly. They've been doing research since 2012, and they found that bamboo fiber is actually quite similar in quality to hardwood fiber.
So it could be a really viable alternative to wood pulp?
Exactly. Imagine a world where we're not cutting down trees to make paper, but we're using this rapidly renewable grass instead.
That would be a game changer, especially for our forests.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've seen companies that are growing bamboo, building with bamboo, and even making paper out of bamboo. But I have to ask, what about the economics of all this? Is bamboo actually a profitable crop for American farmers?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Let's dive into the numbers and see if bamboo can actually make financial sense.
Okay, let's talk money.
Well, it's a good question because, all this sustainability stuff is great. But at the end of the day, farmers need to be able to make a living.
Exactly. If it's not profitable, it's not sustainable in the long run.
Right, and that's one of the big questions surrounding bamboo. Can it actually compete with traditional crops?
So what's the answer? Can American farmers actually make money growing bamboo?
Well, National Bamboo has been doing a lot of research on this, and they found that in many cases, timber bamboo can actually yield a higher return on investment compared to pine.
Really? Higher than pine? I'm surprised. I always thought trees were the way to go for timber.
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But bamboo has this secret weapon speed. Trees can take decades to mature before you can harvest them, but bamboo can be ready in just a few years.
Ah, so it's like a much faster turnaround time for farmers.
Exactly. And that means they can start seeing a return on their investment much sooner. Plus, you can selectively harvest bamboo, which means you don't have to clear cut an entire area like you do with trees.
So it's more sustainable from a harvesting perspective, too.
Exactly. You can just take the mature poles and leave the rest of the grove intact. And because bamboo grows so rapidly, you can get multiple harvests from the same plant over its lifespan.
Wow. So it's like this gift that keeps on giving.
Kind of. And that really boosts a farmer's profit potential.
Okay, so there's definitely money to be made from growing bamboo. But what are some of the challenges on the financial side?
Well, the initial investment can be a hurdle.
Yeah.
You need to buy the land, prepare the soil, import the starter plants, and then you have to wait a few years for your first harvest.
So it requires patience and a bit of a gamble.
It does. And that can be tough for farmers who are used to planting annual crops and getting a return every year.
I can see that. It's a different mindset for sure.
And then there's the issue of processing. You can grow all the bamboo in the world, but if you don't have the facilities to process it into usable products, you're kind of stuck.
Right. We talked about that chicken and egg problem earlier. Farmers are hesitant to plant without processing capacity, and companies are hesitant to invest in processing without a steady supply of bamboo.
Exactly. It's this tricky balancing act. But there are signs that things are starting to change.
Really? What's happening?
Well, companies like Lambu are investing in processing facilities. And as the demand for bamboo products grows, we can expect to see more investment in this area.
So it's a gradual process, but it seems like the infrastructure is starting to catch up with the enthusiasm.
It is, and I think that's really key to the long-term success of the U.S. bamboo industry.
Okay, so we've talked about the economics. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about the sustainability side of things. You mentioned earlier that bamboo can help combat climate change. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. One of the most amazing things about bamboo is its ability to sequester carbon.
Sequester carbon. What does that mean exactly?
It basically means that it absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and stores it in its roots and biomass.
So it's like a natural carbon vacuum cleaner. It sucks up that harmful CO2 and helps to cool the planet.
Exactly. And because bamboo grows so fast, it's constantly sequestering carbon throughout its life cycle.
That's incredible. But what happens to all that stored carbon when the bamboo is harvested? Doesn't it get released back into the atmosphere?
It depends on what you do with it.
Yeah.
If you burn it for fuel, then yes, the carbon gets released. But if you use it to create durable products like building materials or furniture, that carbon is essentially locked away for the lifespan of those products.
Ah, so it's like a carbon time capsule.
Mhm.
As long as those bamboo products are in use, that carbon stays trapped.
Precisely. And that's why promoting bamboo as a sustainable alternative to wood is so important. We can reduce deforestation, protect our forests, and at the same time create these amazing carbon-storing products.
It's a win-win-win situation.
Yes.
Okay, so bamboo is a carbon-fighting superhero. What else can this wonder grass do?
There's more. Bamboo can even play a role in bioremediation.
Bioremediation. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. What is that?
It's basically using living organisms to clean up contaminated soil and water.
Wow, so bamboo can help us clean up the messes we've made.
It has that potential, yes. Certain bamboo species are really good at absorbing heavy metals and other pollutants from the soil.
So they're like natural filters.
Exactly. They pull those contaminants out of the environment and help to restore the health of the ecosystem.
That's amazing. So bamboo is not just a sustainable building material, it's like a multi-purpose tool for environmental restoration.
You got it. These U.S. bamboo companies are really thinking holistically. They're not just focused on making a profit. They're looking at how they can use bamboo to address some of the biggest challenges facing our planet.
I love that. It's so inspiring to see companies that are really walking the walk when it comes to sustainability.
Me too. It gives me hope for the future.
Okay, so I'm totally on board with this bamboo revolution. I love the environmental benefits, the innovation, the potential to create a more sustainable future. But I have to confess, I still have one nagging concern in the back of my mind, the invasiveness issue.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the bamboo forest.
Exactly. I've heard so many stories about bamboo taking over gardens and wreaking havoc on ecosystems. How do these companies address that concern?
It's a valid concern for sure. But remember, not all bamboo is created equal. Some species are much more aggressive than others.
So it's about choosing the right bamboo for the right location.
Exactly, and it's about implementing responsible management practices. Companies like Thigpen Trail Bamboo Farm are really leading the way on this. They're focused on growing non-invasive varieties, and they educate their customers on how to plant and manage bamboo responsibly.
That's reassuring to hear. It sounds like they're taking all the right precautions.
They are. And there are other practical solutions too, like installing rhizome barriers.
Rhizome barriers, what are those?
They're basically underground walls that prevent the bamboo's roots from spreading beyond a certain area.
Ah, so it's like a bamboo fence, but underground.
Exactly. It helps to keep the bamboo contained and prevents it from running wild.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so it sounds like the invasiveness issue can be managed with careful planning and responsible practices.
It can.
Right.
And it's something that these U.S. bamboo companies are very aware of. They know that in order for bamboo to succeed in the U.S., they need to address these concerns and show people that it can be a valuable and beneficial addition to our landscapes.
All right, so we've talked about the environmental benefits, the economic challenges, the invasiveness issue. It seems like there's a lot to consider when it comes to bamboo.
There is. It's a complex topic,
Yeah.
but I think it's also incredibly fascinating and full of potential.
I agree. Okay, so let's wrap things up with a big picture question.
Ah.
What do you think the future holds for the U.S. bamboo industry?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure, but I think there are a few key factors that will determine its success.
Okay, let's break it down. What are those factors?
Well, first and foremost, these companies need to continue to innovate. They need to develop new and exciting bamboo products that people actually want to buy.
So it's not enough to just grow bamboo. They need to turn it into something special.
Exactly. They need to create products that are not just sustainable, but also desirable. They need to appeal to consumers on multiple levels.
What else is important?
Building a strong and reliable supply chain is crucial. They need to develop those relationships with farmers, make sure that there's enough bamboo to meet the growing demand.
So it's about creating a sustainable system from the ground up.
Exactly. And they need to educate consumers about the benefits of bamboo. let people know why it's such an amazing material and why they should choose it over traditional products.
So it's about telling the story of bamboo.
Yes. And finally, they need to advocate for policies that support the growth of the domestic bamboo industry.
So that means working with lawmakers to create incentives for bamboo farming and manufacturing.
Exactly. It's about creating a more favorable environment for the industry to flourish.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of work to be done,
Right.
but if these companies can successfully execute on all these fronts, I think the future of bamboo in the U.S. is very bright.
I agree. I think we're at a really exciting moment. We're seeing this convergence of innovation, sustainability, and consumer demand that could really propel bamboo into the mainstream.
It's like all the pieces are starting to fall into place.
It is, and I'm really excited to see what happens next.
Me too. Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, the opportunities, the innovations. What's your take on the big picture? Could bamboo actually become as commonplace as wood in the U.S.?
I think it's definitely possible. It might not happen overnight, but I can see a future where bamboo is used in all sorts of applications, from construction to furniture to paper to clothing.
It's like this whole new world of possibilities is opening up.
Exactly. And it's not just about replacing wood, it's about exploring the unique properties of bamboo and using them to create things that we've never seen before.
Okay, now you get me really excited.
Yeah.
What kind of things are we talking about? What could this bamboo-filled future look like?
Well, imagine buildings that are lighter and stronger thanks to bamboo's incredible strength-to-weight ratio. Picture graceful bamboo bridges arching over rivers or skyscrapers swaying gently in the wind. And think of the possibilities for furniture. Lightweight, yet sturdy chairs, elegant tables, entire kitchens crafted from bamboo. It's a designer's dream.
That's incredible. And it's not just about the aesthetics, right?
Right. This increased use of bamboo could significantly lessen the pressure on our forests, giving a much-needed boost to biodiversity and carbon sequestration efforts.
It's a game changer, especially as we face the challenges of climate change.
Exactly. And let's not forget the economic benefits, particularly for rural communities.
Hmm.
Bamboo farming has the potential to revitalize struggling agricultural regions, creating jobs and breathing new life into local economies.
It's like a ripple effect of positive change spreading outward from these innovative bamboo enterprises.
It truly is. But their success depends on a collective effort. Consumers need to embrace these new products. Policymakers need to enact supportive legislation. And we, as informed citizens, need to champion this movement.
Spread the word about the wonders of bamboo.
Precisely. Every choice we make, from building materials to everyday products, can contribute to a more sustainable future.
So the next time you're shopping for furniture, considering a home renovation, or even grabbing a cup of coffee, think bamboo. It's more than just a trendy material. It's a symbol of hope and a testament to our collective responsibility for the planet. This has been an absolutely mind-blowing deep dive. I feel inspired, informed, and ready to join the bamboo revolution.
Me too. It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
I think our listeners will agree.
Before we sign off, I want to emphasize that the future of bamboo in America rests on a collective effort.
You mean it's not just up to these innovative companies to make it happen?
Exactly. Consumers play a crucial role. Choosing bamboo products sends a powerful signal to the market that sustainability matters.
So every time we buy a bamboo toothbrush or a bamboo cutting board, we're casting a vote for a more sustainable future.
Precisely. And policymakers have a role to play too.
They need to create legislation that supports the growth of this burgeoning industry.
Exactly. Incentives for bamboo farming research funding for new bamboo technologies and streamlined regulations that make it easier to use bamboo in construction, these are all critical pieces of the puzzle.
It sounds like we all have a part to play in making this bamboo revolution reality.
We do. And the good news is that even small actions can make a big difference.
So tell our listeners what they can do to support this movement.
Educate yourself about bamboo and its many uses. Share what you've learned with your friends and family. Support companies that are using bamboo responsibly, and advocate for policies that promote sustainable practices.
It's about making conscious choices in our everyday lives.
And about using our voices to demand a more sustainable future.
This deep dive has truly inspired me, and I hope our listeners feel the same way.
It's been a pleasure sharing this exploration with you and with our listeners.
And remember, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore in future deep dives, just send them our way. We're always eager to learn and share our discoveries with you.
Until next time, keep those questions coming and stay curious.